Joe left when I was 15, so I joined 4-H when I was 9. Actually was involved with the fair before that because of my family. But yes, I remember Joe well. Joe was the agent, and I remember the agent before him was John Unken, because my older brothers were involved at that time. But yeah, knew Joe. He was young, he was vivacious. He really had a youthful spirit about him. You know, I remember when he announced his resignation that he was moving to another county, a lot of people were disappointed to see him go because they really did think a lot of Joe and what he had done for 4-H. And for those of us who were in 4-H at the time, he was the guy that we kind of looked up to. And one of my brothers said it best. He said he was not afraid that if you did something wrong, you were going to be shoveling manure. That was just the standard that you know, at that time you had manure piles and you had to load it on the spreaders. And so there's a lot of 4-H clubs that were on the business end of a fork. But I think it was that young enthusiasm that he had, that he brought to the fair, that he brought to, I think he had an understanding. He enjoyed working with the youth, and that was evident. And I think he had just a great relationship with those of us who were in 4-H at the time. Well, he had just resigned from Clark County, so I mean, we kind of had, for lack of a better term, a death in the family anyway, because he had announced he was leaving, and we were sorry to see him go, to leave Clark County, but we knew how good he was and why he would move up to a bigger county. But then when he was killed, I remember, you know, hearing it on the radio the next morning, and it was like, oh my gosh, you know, and you feel bad in that, you know, oftentimes few of us experience death that close at hand, but especially someone that all of us knew and really enjoyed, really liked, really looked up to. And so probably the biggest loss was what the next county lost. They never got to know what Joe Pietrek was. And they missed that. And you kind of, in retrospect, look back and think, how many youth did not have the opportunity to experience what we did in Clark County?
Well, I think I joined 4-H in 1952. At that time, you had to be 10 years old before you could join. And at the time, first was Larry Babka, and a couple of years later, he was replaced by Joe. Had the opportunity to work with Joe for about 6 years that I was involved. Oh, you would have thought he was kind of gruff, but not really. Down deep in his heart, he was very kind, liked to have fun, liked to get things done. I mean, let's not procrastinate, let's keep working and do our best. One year I was able to go to State Fair, and he was the chaperone, and I don't say we were all real good kids down there, but he made us aware of what we had to do. I guess at the time we had a home agent too, but we were so used to having a man for 4-H agent, and he was caring. He'd come out to the farm, and most of us at that time were mostly farm kids that were in 4-H, or farm students, I should say, or whatever, members. He was interested in our projects. He cared about us very kindly. I mean, it was such a sudden, hard time when we lost him. He had been such a part of, well, he even went, I think, to the church that I did to in Neilsville at the time. I'm really glad that he was a part of my life.